So we're going to go into some headlines. So obviously everybody knows that Greta Thunberg is the Time Person of the Year. Did you all know that? Did you see that? Maybe if you're not in the U.S., you wouldn't see that, but it was kind of like all over the media yesterday. And then Trump immediately sent out something really nasty or something, stupid about Greta. I don't know what's wrong. Well, whatever. That's everything is wrong on many levels with Trump. That he had to put out that he feels so threatened by a 16-year-old child that he has to put out a tweet about her that was negative. And then, and then she countered by making her Twitter bio Trump's tweet. She said, "I'm working on my anger management and I'm chilling with some friends watching a movie," or something like that. That's what the tweet was about. He told her to go chill with some friends and watch a movie. Ooh, tardigrades are cool bears. I like tardigrades. Or tardigardes. I don't know. Cephalopods. But bears are cool. Yeah. Increasing bear hunting permits in Utah. What does that mean? Is that there? So that means, why are they increasing the bear hunting permits? That's what I want to know. Are there an overabundance of bears, or are they're saying we don't care about the bears, or too bad for the bears? I mean, it is the Trump administration, so everything, anything goes. Let's just, you want to shoot bears and wolves and anybody and any pesky critters, go for it. Anyway, so yeah, Greta Thunberg wins Time Person of the Year. And I guess that's good. UK elections are today. Proudhon says that they are closing, polls closing in 49 minutes or 50 minutes. It's wait, what time is it there? Almost 9 o'clock? So they're closing about 9? Are you Proudhon says he's cold and wet. Are you out voting? What is it, Proudhon? What do you think? What's the overall general feel of who's taking the election? We'll get a British on the ground take. It's it seems like obviously the election in Britain is setting up like a lot of the elections around the world, which is, kind of more vocally right against the more vocally left. Corbyn is, for all intents and purposes, a more progressive candidate. Although that might be, 10 p.m. I'm off. Corbyn is a more progressive candidate, although, obviously everybody has their take on how progressive he is. Obviously, Boris Johnson is a more right-wing president, although people have their takes about how right he truly is. I'm not an expert necessarily on British politics, but from what I've seen, there are variants. They try to make Boris Johnson out to be like the Trump of the UK, and that may very well be true, but I think that there are variants on his Trumpiness. As well as Corbyn. Corbyn seems to be the UK version of Bernie Sanders, and there's probably variants on his Bernie-ness. Veronica Harris says she has voted for Corbyn. I'm sure I would be a Corbyn voter myself. Most likely. So everybody is watching that, with bated breath, trying to see what what direction the country is going to go to. There's a lot of talk of the NHS, the National Health System, being messed with, gutted, sold off to American companies. And that's a very real, happening. Apparently there's been meetings. Am I right in saying that there has been, the Tories have met with some companies or, around adding privatization to the NHS? This is something that I have heard, been following. Does not bode well. And of course, the Tories are painting themselves as pro NHS, right? While they're, it's just like Trump. We're pro worker. Oh, but we're going to kick, we're pro middle class American, but we're going to kick everybody off of food stamps, which is another headline I'm about to get into. So Proudhon says polls say Boris will win. Looks like Corbyn being punished for blocking Brexit. 5 million Labour voters also voted to leave the EU, and Jeremy wants to remain. But what I've heard is that Corbyn was originally pro-Brexit at one time, right? Am I wrong? That he had Brexit sympathies, pro-Brexit sympathies. So I don't know, but he has to take that stance because Labour is basically an anti-Brexit party, right? So what this means for the country and the Brexit situation. Obviously, this election has a lot to do with that. Proudhon says, no, the NHS stuff is not true at all. An exceptional degree of lying from all sides. Yeah, I mean, it's hard enough to cover who's lying here in the U.S. I mean, because it's just wall-to-wall bullshit. And so it takes a certain degree of, digging. But, I'm not in Britain, and I'm not that steeped in the British political doings. I obviously there's more nuance there that I can't get my head around. Well, we will see. Everybody is watching for that. Yeah, I wonder what the money was on this election. I know when Brexit happened that some people bet for Brexit, and made a lot of money in the stock market, because the pound went way down. So if you bet against the pound before the Brexit vote, you would have made a lot of money. Basil Peterson, thank you for the super chat. Loved your talk with Valhalla the other day. Indigenous people didn't see the Mayflower, and we can't see our collapse. Ding. So moving on. One more comment here from Proudhon. Yes, he was pro-Brexit, Corbyn, but the policy is to basically remain. The policy of Labour is they're a Remain party. And Corbyn has been accused of anti-Semitism, which is like so off the rails. I don't know what's going on with that. But, that's Corbyn is anti-Zion, not anti. Of course. Well, and that's the thing is that, Corbyn is pro-Palestinian. If you say that the Palestinians should have rights and should be treated as people, oh my God, you're an anti-Semite or something like that. If you mention anything about Israel being a completely fascist apartheid state, oh my God, you're an anti-Semite. Which is a ridiculous thing to say. It's just totally not even true. But, if the media runs hard enough with it and loudly enough with it, then you could probably convince a lot of people who are barely paying attention. Oh, anti-Semite. Oh, no, I don't like him anymore. I just don't like him. Has anybody heard the Jimmy Dore? So that Jimmy Dore has this guy that does voices on every once in a while, right? He does interviews with, mock interviews with like Barack Obama, or like Rick Perry, or uh, just random people. He'll do mock interviews with Liam Neeson. Has anybody seen these? And so there's a new character that this guy that does voices is called. It's called Hillary Supporter. I think I just did Hillary Supporter. I don't like him, but if you go listen to go to Jimmy Dore's page and go find his interviews with a Hillary Supporter, it's hilarious. If you like that kind of thing. Void is it? Yin Yang says $3 billion a year to Israel to prop up the Carter Doctrine and Kissinger's Saudi agreement. Yep. And here's another thing. Like Bernie Sanders has gone way out on a limb and said, like, hey, I think I might actually curtail that aid to Israel if they don't do better by the Palestinians, if they don't, change their evil ways, right? So, like, the United States is all about humanitarianism and going to fight fascism, or going to fight, these totalitarian, evil dictators, and we're going to spread democracy. But, we actually like to prop up incredibly fascist states and give them a lot of money. And oh my God, if you question that. But yeah, this isn't just another reason why voting for Bernie Sanders is an awesome thing, because he wants to change the policy with which we deal with Israel. And that would be a beautiful thing. We could hold them accountable. Hey, we're going to hold back some of this aid. You think maybe they'll impeach Bernie Sanders for holding back aid to Israel because he wants them to do better by the Palestinians? Who would do that? Who might do that? Hillary Supporter is my favorite too. Hilarious. Anyways, we're going to move on to another headline. The Arctic so there's a new report about the Arctic being in dire condition as climate change ravages long frozen region. And I'm going to get into that story a little more, but obviously, the Arctic is falling apart. Permafrost is not permafrost anymore. Ice is not reforming. We're continuing to be on a downward trend. Graphically, we're losing ice. And here's a partner story to that. An 18,000-year-old puppy was found in Russia's frozen permafrost. Did anybody here see that one? I think I have that somewhere, and we might dig that up. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, another nude item. We always end up saying the word nude, I think, in the live streams. I don't know why. I just said it. It was a Freudian slip. Hillary Clinton donors charged in a 2016 money laundering scheme. We'll see where that goes, but we've known for a long time that the DNC's handling of the elections in 2016 was highly suspect. Hillary Clinton was basically laundering money during the 2016 election, and this looks like it's getting a little closer to touching her. These are her donors charged in a 2016 money laundering scheme. So this looks like, it's just getting. Hillary Clinton, are you feeling a little warm? And lastly, YouTube has updated its harassment policy, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Again, YouTube kind of setting up these very kind of loose and nebulous, rules around the use of YouTube. They're opening up the door to not abuse by the users, but abuse by the those who are in control of deeming what is acceptable content or not. Anyways, I'm gonna just read. I'm gonna look at a couple sections of the YouTube updated harassment policy. Anyways, Going South said naked truth. It's the naked truth. Naked. Natural progressive. You like nude. I do like nude. I can't help it. Please continue to like the video, guys. Let's get some more viewers. Void says you can always put on more clothes, but you can only take so many off. Minnesota saying. True. Prudhomme, December 9th, warmest December day ever in Alaska. Oh, yet another headline that I completely missed in my thing, but maybe we'll talk about that a little too. Yeah, I saw a really great graph too on Twitter. In the conversation around the grand solar minimum people, and they were like, this, I believe it's a woman posted this graph of the global temperature in red going up like this, and like the strength of the radiation from the sun kind of going, doing this and just remaining kind of, it's actually going down. We are actually in somewhat of a minimum, but the temperature, continues to go like basically on this trajectory that's incredibly steep in an upward fashion. And, belying the whole grand solar, it's getting colder because the grand solar minimum thing, or ice is still forming, or there's no melting, or what are you talking about? Natural Progressive says, I hope HRC will be exposed. Please. I mean, let's expose everyone. There's that. Let's all get nude. Let's all get to the naked truth. Whatever Trump is doing, I hope that's exposed. Whatever HRC was doing, I hope that's exposed. Oh, I forgot another headline. There was a huge report in the Washington Post about Afghanistan, the handling of the Afghanistan involvement over the last, 10 or however long we've been in Afghanistan. Basically, it's this report, an internal report from people within the Pentagon, and they're saying the entire time we've been in Afghanistan, we don't know what we're doing. They didn't know what the objective was. They didn't know who the enemy was. We've been in this war for 18 years, just sending people over there to get killed, spending trillions of dollars, increasing our military budget every single year, just drumming up reasons to be over there, and we have no idea why we're there. So there's internal memos. There's things from Donald Rumsfeld saying, I don't know what's going on. It's complete chaos. Help. One of the memos said. So this is, damning for the Bush, the Obama, and the Trump administrations that Afghanistan is a complete farce. There's no reason for us to be there. There's absolutely no objective there. There's no reason for us to be there except for to increase the profits of the military-industrial complex and to give the military a reason to do stuff. And that is, if that isn't a war crime, I don't know what is. So when we talk about exposing people and we talk about, possibly bringing people to justice, let's go back to the Bush administration. Let's go on back. Let's take a walk back through history. Bush and Cheney are still around. Cheney's still around, right? I'm pretty sure he's still alive. Barely, right? There's no reason why Bush can't be brought up on war crimes. Still. And, you know, unfortunately, to all the people that are like, Obama was so great, yeah, he actually is guilty of war crimes as well. Marsha W. says Bernie should run as independent. He's not a Democrat. Well, he is running on the Democratic ticket, and he has done so in two elections running. It's a little late for him to be an independent. Although I will have to say, he blew it in a way. I think he's trying to play the long game, and you know, whatever, there might be some logic to that. I think that he's in a very good position to win. A lot of people are starting to go, it looks like Bernie might have a real shot at winning this nomination. However, in 2016, when he was cheated out of the nomination, he could have destroyed the two-party system in the United States. He could have single-handedly broken the two-party system. And I'm pretty upset by that. I'm pretty upset that we had a chance, we had a window in time where if Bernie would have jumped out of the race, he lost the nomination. If he would have immediately turned around and said, the Green Party actually asked him to be the candidate for the Green Party. If he jumped out of the race and ran as an independent, he would have taken. He might have won. He might have won as an independent presidential candidate. He had a very good shot. He had so much support. He had so many supporters. He would have taken a lot of independents. He would have taken, all the Green Party people. He would have had at least half of the Democrats. I don't know. He had and he probably would have taken a lot of conservatives as well, because he was so popular. A lot of, there were people in the middle that jumped to Trump when Bernie was out, and there were people that also jumped to Hillary. So he could have taken all those people in the middle. He might have had a shot. It would have been a beautiful thing, and I was sorely vexed because he did not run independent. But here he is. Here he is on the verge of possibly taking the Democratic nomination. Not on the verge. Let me go back. Sorry, that was a lot. Here he is in a position to take the Democratic nomination. He's in a very strong position. If he does well, in the very beginning, if he jumps out and does well in the very beginning, it's, he's going to draw a lot of people to him. And I just heard somebody, remarking on the fact that there's something like 37 open primaries in the primary contest. And open primaries means that anybody can vote. So it's not closed to just Democrats. So anybody, independents, Republicans, anybody can come in and vote. So that's where he did very well last election. He did way better than people thought. Going into the election, they didn't give him any chance, and he did way better because he pulled people. He pulled independents. He pulled non-voters. He pulled a bunch, youth vote. We'll see. We'll see if that trend holds.